Did you know you can sponsor your favorite podcast on the Spin Market Podcast Network? Hi, everybody. I'm Peter Stockdale, host of the Spin Market Report. In the past year, our podcasts have had over 20,000 total streams, and our YouTube channels have had over 1 million views. Whether you're promoting a product, service, or event, we'll help you reach the audience that matters. Get more information on how to sponsor a podcast at spinmarketwith2ks.com. Spin Market. Your business, your message, our platform.
It's the Spin Market Report. Here's your host, Peter Stockdale.
All right, we are back for another Monday of Marketing Monday, the Spin Market Report. It's the best day of the week if you're into listening to marketing podcasts.
Oh, even if you're not, it's still the best day of the week. We want to wake everybody up for their Monday.
Yeah. So regardless of whether or not you listen to this Monday morning or Friday at 5, this is where we're at here today. We're sitting down talking with Ashley and Cassy. I've got Cassy here and Ashley there. Ashley Little, Cassy George. You guys work at USG. Ashley, you're the plant manager. New plant manager?
New plant manager as of 2 months ago.
Oh, nice. We'll get into that in a second. Cassy, you work in HR. Yep. So let's just kind of broad stroke it here just for people that maybe don't know what is USG?
Yeah, USG is a manufacturing company. We manufacture building materials. So anything that you use to build your walls, your roofing, your ceilings, we do all of that within USG, and we are a U.S.-wide company, and then our owners are actually nationwide, worldwide.
All right, Cassy, you work in HR. Can you tell us a little bit how you became the HR business partner over at USG?
Yeah, so I'm from Fort Dodge, grew up here. So I was actually working in recruiting at Community Health Center here in Fort Dodge previously, and the HR position came open, and someone reached out to me on LinkedIn. Just kind of telling me about the position and what it entailed. So I thought I'd take the opportunity to see what they were all about, and really enjoyed my visit to the plant, and just the people there are so welcoming, and it was just a really good visit. So
I will say that's a shout out for probably one of the most underutilized social media platforms out there, LinkedIn. I get it. It's a business one, and maybe people don't want to blah, blah. It works.
It does. Absolutely.
It absolutely works. I've had one job interaction with somebody when they had an opening in the exact same way. They just reached out to me and like, hey, just come in and talk to us. And that's super cool.
Yeah.
So what does a typical day look like for you then?
Well, that's one of my favorite parts about my job. No 2 days are the same, right? Almost every day is different. One day we can be working on planning a plant picnic or a luncheon that we're having or whatever it might be. And then the next day we're dealing with whether it's employee relations issues or, planning a big changeover for one of the platforms that we use for our day-to-day workloads. So no 2 days are really the same, but really like to just be kind of immersed in the plant and what the production is doing and really getting to know the people one-to-one.
That's super cool because HR is one of those jobs. It's such like a wide berth of things. It's not like you're just sitting in an office and then talking to somebody about health insurance. You're like involved in literally anything that has anything to do with somebody working at the job.
Absolutely, yes.
That's really, really cool. All right, Ashley, how did you get to USG? Did somebody reach out to you on LinkedIn as well?
They did not.
Okay.
They did not. So I was going to Texas Tech University, and during our career fair, I was looking for an internship. And got connected with our plant down in Sweetwater, Texas, and that's where I'm originally from. I'm from Houston, and I applied and went and visited the plant. And I think I had a really similar experience of just loving the people and being so welcomed into the USG family. And so started out with an internship and then kind of worked my way through full-time engineering and department manager positions to get to where I am now.
Wow.
Nice.
Very cool.
So you were an engineer before then?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm a
She's still an engineer.
Yeah, still an engineer.
Yes.
I don't use the degree so much anymore, but I'm majored in chemical engineering from Texas Tech University.
Wow, that's cool. And that's kind of your window into USG then?
Yeah.
That's super awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say I'm related. My sister's an engineer, so I got a little bit of that engineering blood somewhere. It's not being used as much here, but that's super cool. What does a typical day look like for you at USG then?
Yeah, it's funny. I was going to say the exact same thing of no 2 days being alike. For me, one of my top priorities is the safety of the employees. And so I'm really trying to get to safety huddles, be on the floor with the employees, and seeing what I can do to make the job safer and help out there. I do a little bit of the HR side as well, and I'm really passionate about making sure that we have engaged employees. And so whatever I can do to help out with making the job easier, safer, more efficient, getting them the tools that they need. The best way I can do that is by spending time with the employees and hearing from them. So.
All right. So you had mentioned the Sweetwater plant. So that's something that maybe other people in town might not realize is USG is not just like a Fort Dodge company. You're all over the place. So like, how do you engage like corporate wise and then locally wise, maybe whether it be locally with the community or how do you make sure that everything aligns with one another? Because I'm sure that's part of your job is bridging that.
Yes, definitely. USG is headquartered out of Chicago, Illinois, so we have a lot of people there that help out with making sure that we have the money to invest in our plant, and so that's a lot of my job is working with them on hey, our plant is from the 1902. This is what we need to bring it into this century. So working well with them, working with remote people who are helping us plan our production, and also with other plant managers. For us, it's really important that we have a good network we have 50 plants across the U.S. So what are you guys doing at your plant? How can we be doing better here? What have you seen success with? We do a lot of that, and then working with our local team on how does this fit our plan? How does this fit our community? How does this fit the Fort Dodge area? And just making those connections there. That's
really cool because you can see like what somebody else is doing in a different market and then maybe borrow what you would choose to borrow. It's like, it's maybe this will work in Chicago, but maybe it won't work in Fort Dodge. But there are some things over there that I'd like to borrow and bring over here. And you can try that stuff out. And like you said, make sure it aligns with the community. That's really kind of cool. You have like a whole pool of, they're not even competitors. They're within your own company, but that's really kind of neat to have that at your back pocket. How cool would it be if there was like Spin Market South and you could like just call down to them and be like, hey guys, what's going on down there?
Yes.
Like, I saw you did this. Can you help us out with that? That would be pretty kind of cool.
Well, maybe there's one in the future.
Maybe. So for those unfamiliar with USG, maybe people are just like, okay, they have the mining operation. There's gypsum, and that might be all they know. But like, can you explain what USG does for maybe the maybe the people that just don't know?
Sure. So what's really unique about our plant, and we have a handful of others across the country, but the Fort Dodge plant has a quarry here where we mine gypsum rock. We're mining it and processing it to where we can get it into a powder, and we're using it to manufacture wallboard or drywall. At our plant specifically, we make the joint compound or ready mix material that goes between the two sheetrock panels whenever you're installing it. We also make ceiling tiles and the metal grid that the ceiling tiles sit on. We make roofing products and floor underlayment. So typically what I say is if you're sitting in a room, I can probably look around and point out, probably made that. We do make that. We make, there's still not ceiling tiles in this room, but in a lot of office buildings, if you're watching it, you're looking up and you can see those. We have a lot of also other smaller products that we manufacture that are using raw materials and other processes that a lot of people don't know about as well. So, yeah.
Well, you even for the Buster Bash that we did in June had a booth for it, and one of the requirements is that you needed an activity for the kids to do, and you brought in actual little molds that they could paint, and they went over. They were a blast. Yeah. Everybody loved them.
I remember that episode because I was like, this is like low key, probably the most fun thing here. It's just kind of like, I didn't expect USG to, I don't know what I expected you guys to come in with, but I was like, I kind of want to come over here and do this. And by the time I got done interviewing everybody and it was all over, I was like, oh, they're packing up. I didn't get to paint the little thingy or whatever.
You had told us, I would have brought you.
Okay, there you go.
Oh man. So that's really cool. One of the things I think is like, gypsum, people just think, okay, maybe it's drywall. Did that start here?
So Sheetrock is actually the USG brand.
Oh, okay.
So it's the USG brand of drywall panels. So yeah, and the Fort Dodge plant started in 1902. So we were one of the first gypsum mining companies here in Fort Dodge.
That's really cool. Because I mean, like, I think of sheetrock, and I just think it's just like the name for what it is, but that's like the Kleenex and tissue thing.
Correct.
It's like this. It's so synonymous with it that this is the thing. Band-Aid versus bandage. You know, it's like sheetrock. That's really kind of cool.
And I'm not sure what house was built here in Fort Dodge with the very first one.
Ooh, I don't know the answer to that.
There was actually a house on the USG land that when USG or when the plant would bring people to work at the plant could stay in the houses, and there used to be like a little community actually on the property. Okay. We actually at the plant have some really old photos of some of those houses on the property.
Isn't that cool to
They're
go back
really
and
cool
look
to
at
look
them?
at. Yeah.
That's super cool. Another this is just totally random, but like, I remember a buddy of mine had some land out kind of near there, and it was something, there was like a piece of gypsum like out in his field, and we picked it up, and it was just maybe the size of a softball. That stuff kind of actually just looks kind of cool when it's raw, you know? That was something I was like, what is this? This is a neat looking rock. And then you're like, oh, it's gypsum. And I'm like, I would have never known that. So just to see it in person is pretty kind of a cool thing. All right. So have there ever been any major changes or milestones in the last year? Maybe out here, obviously we had a changing of the guard out at USG, but what are some of the things that USG does to maybe evolve with the times and change as things go along?
Yeah. So obviously having a plant built in 1902, we have a lot of updates that are needed. So we're constantly trying to make sure that we're evolving with whether it's equipment or even just buildings, right? Buildings constantly need to be kept up or even tore down and rebuilt. So we're just constantly looking at ways that we can improve the plant and the efficiencies of the plant and how we're making our product. We make the joint compound, which is like the putty kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then we make the dry product, which is, contractors use that. They mix it with water and it becomes the putty stuff.
That's the stuff in the bucket with.
Correct.
Okay, cool.
Yep. And then we also have Level Rock, which is a self-leveling, quick drying floor that they use in like apartment complexes, school buildings, stuff like that. And it dries quickly, but it also levels itself so that the contractors can get back on the floor quicker and get the walls built so that they can get it up faster.
I always thought that was one of the fun things. Like I was talking with the last episode we recorded, but I'm not too much of a DIY guy. Like I get it. I've been around enough of it and I see it, but it's the first time I saw somebody put some floor leveling stuff out. I'm like, what's going on here? Like, what are you doing? It's like, well, it levels the floor out. And it's like, oh, I guess that's way better than like shimming up the floor. So like to have the like foresight of to come out and like make these different products that'll do that kind of stuff is really kind of cool. Or the fact that like, we've got sheetrock, but we also have the stuff that'll like join it together as well. So you're not just like making one product and being like, there you go, just buy the sheetrock and call it good enough. You guys have your hands in basically, like you said earlier, everything. You can look around the room and be like, I bet it's in there. I bet it's over there. That's really, really neat. How about like technological innovations? Anything that's going on out there that people should know about? New materials? Like I said, this is stuff that like the last episode we did, which actually will be last week's episode. I learned so much in that episode, but are there technological advancements and things that people just might not know you guys are doing out there?
I think the biggest thing that we've had going on specifically at our plant is all of the investments we're making to make it to where it's not so much of a physical process. I think manufacturing has a long-standing history of being very physically demanding, very dirty work, and we're doing our best to make big advancements in robots that will do that for us, and our operators are just operating the robots.
Incorporating AI.
Yes, as much as we can with programming AI, with equipment, with machinery that can take away some of that really physical aspect of the job is been a really big change for us. And then with some of our sustainability goals, we've been trying to make investments in the plant. And then also we've converted to like recycled pails for that kind of mud compound that we make. And so those have kind of been the big milestones recently that we've had.
We had Jefferson Fossbender from the Growth Alliance on here. He was talking about going through some of the plants in town. I believe you mentioned your guys' as well, where there's like some automation going on, but you still have to have people there that are trained, A, in the old way, so they know what's going on, and then B, also they have to be technologically advanced enough to monitor whatever kind of technologies are aiding them. This isn't on here, but it's kind of cool that you guys have Iowa Central, like right out here, basically on the other side of town, to just train people in this if they need to. That's really kind of neat. All right, so another one I have here is being involved in the local community. This could be Fort Dodge, the surrounding area, but let's kind of just key in on this plant here. How are you guys involved in the community? Like, what are some of the things you do to kind of give back and be involved?
So we've worked really hard the last few years on just getting more involved in the community. So things like partnering with the Greater Growth Alliance on things like they have platforms where local manufacturing companies can come together and just talk about, what are the things going on? What do we need help with in the community? What are ways that we're trying to connect what we do with the people that are coming into the work environment? So can we work with the local schools and bring them in for tours? Cool. And that plays right into with the Fort Dodge Senior High.
You're going to have that here in 2 weeks. Yes.
Yeah. Yep. We do the career fair with the Fort Dodge Senior High, but then we also bring some of their students in for a tour just to kind of see what the manufacturing plant is like. And they can actually talk with our employees and really get a feel for the day-to-day that they're doing. So that's really nice just to really get them immersed in the environment and see what it's like to be in there.
That's so smart too, because like I think about like when I was in school, it's kind of like you think, oh, I know what the workforce is like. You go out there and you do the job and whatever. But like, how cool would it have been if somebody like actually took me to a big factory and been like, this is actually what it's like, and this is what these people are doing, and this is where it's at in your house, and this is how it impacts your community. That would have been really kind of neat. Not that I never had those opportunities, but if I had a handful of them at my disposal growing up, maybe things would have been a little bit different in my 20s. Maybe I would have gone down a different career path even. That's really nice that you guys partner with the schools just to kind of get the information out there. This is what we're doing, and this is how you can help if you guys want to go down this career path. Again, Iowa Central's out there to kind of train some people in some things if they need to. Do you guys, I'm sure you have plenty of jobs that are available for people that are not necessarily Iowa Central or collegiately trained as well? Yeah,
absolutely. We have operator positions that we can teach you all the skills to do the position. We also have some like some of our maintenance positions, they don't necessarily require a degree to do. But if you have previous life skills that kind of taught you some of those skills, then we also will help train you on the other things that you don't necessarily know for a mechanic position as well.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Another one of my questions here was upcoming events and partnerships. We kind of covered that. I do want to give another shout out to the Fort Dodge Community School District. I know that that's not like an event that's open to the public, but hopefully all the kids listening out there, because I know you're keyed in on the Spin Market Report. All those kids are out there.
And you're going to be doing a podcast.
I will be doing a podcast out there.
On site.
But hopefully I'll be able to come over and just at least say hi to you guys, because you guys will have a booth there as well. That's a fun event just to kind of reach out to people and kind of see what they've got going on. How do you guys, USG, you have, I don't know, how many people do you guys have working out there? Is it hundreds, dozens, thousands? What are we talking?
193, I think now.
Awesome. Yep. That's right out there on the edge of town. So that's how you contribute to the local employment. And then we talked a little bit about the education, but like economic growth, did you guys partner with other companies in town and kind of, this is how we can help you out, and this is kind of how we can help you out? Like, where does your direct line of sales go to, I guess? Something along those lines.
So I think one of the ways that we do partner is some of the products that we make do stay here in the local community and are used as raw materials for other companies here. I think other ways that I feel like we give back to the community is through like our career growth opportunities, is working with the ICCC on internship opportunities. We recently had a electrical intern who's going through the electrician program at ICCC and is now working part-time for us, and hopefully we can turn that into a full-time career whenever he graduates, and we're hoping to build that network and that relationship with the ICCC.
That's really cool. I guess I never thought about, like, that's one of the coolest things about the manufacturing job is like sometimes you go all the way to a finished product. Sometimes you're just like, we'll stop here with some raw materials, but there could be another company, like you said, even locally, that's going to take those products and then turn it into something else that they're going to be using for their part. So you are not necessarily just the person that's selling the end game product. You're also helping other people create their own products. And I mean, that's obviously how economics work, but it's kind of cool to know that you guys have this middleman ability, this ability to like supply the local companies and help them out along their cause as well. So, how are people interact with USG? Maybe that could be, seeing you guys out and about or utilizing your products. That could be the local community or other businesses. But what are some other ways that people interact with USG? Like local construction companies that are reaching out to you guys for like maybe products or things like that?
So not directly to the plant. They would reach out to our sales teams or sales members. I do know. So
do you have sales members in the office in Fort Dodge?
Not in Fort Dodge.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No. But we do sell our products through places like Beiser Lumber.
Super cool. You guys mentioned Beiser Lumber. They'll be next week's guests.
Yes.
So shout out to the guys over at Beiser Lumber. Fort Dodge local company.
It is 2 local companies.
Yeah.
Yours in 1902 and theirs in 1953.
Yes.
On there. So that's Beiser, and yeah, you got them beat by a few years. But isn't that cool that we can really celebrate businesses like that? And I know like Friendship Haven just had their 75th, and there's been a couple other ones, but the chances of anybody going over 75 years is
it's uncommon.
Yeah.
I mean, they'd mentioned that a couple times on another podcast we produce here, How to Money with Cole and Cole. That's those guys are pretty tapped into the financial area. So that's something that you guys shouldn't take lightly. I know that it's just a big company and you guys are just parts of the machine, but at the same time, you guys are contributing to that. I don't think that's something you should take lightly. So another thing I had in here, since it is a big company, how do you guys help maintain the culture of USG? Is that something that's passed top down, or is it something that you kind of work on in-house and then align with your corporate headquarters? I mean, because you guys are basically on the front lines of that, either in HR or doing the management there. So how do you ensure that the culture stays the same?
Yeah. So we do a lot of things, not only with our corporate office, but with our local individuals and employees, right? Like we just got, in 2025, we got the Great Place to Work certification.
Yes.
Cool.
So we were very excited to get that. And then we also do an annual engagement survey, right? That allows us just to kind of gauge where our employees are and what are the areas that we have for advancement and improvement. And then from that, we take some of our employees and they volunteer for things like our engagement committee. And they help us create an action plan of those areas that we need to work on and what we need to do to improve them. But then also we do smaller things like our employee picnic. Really just helps us keep the employees engaged in the work that we're doing and really keep us feeling more like a family and just fostering that relationship that we all hold with each other.
That's some powerful HR work there. I'll tell you, we work in a small company. A lot of the companies around here are small businesses. HR is tough. It's tough to do with a small company. And it's really kind of cool to see like what other companies are doing HR wise, because it's a lot of work. Honestly, like it's a lot of work to wrangle everyone together. And like you said, every year you got to ask these people, what are we doing great? What are we not doing great? Where can we improve? And then you want to improve, let's build a committee around this and see how we can improve this. And you take these actionable items. It's so cool to know that that's a thing that's going on.
Yeah.
If I can just
absolutely.
add to that. I know the family picnic was a really great opportunity for me to get to meet people's families. We had over half of our employees that came and brought their families, and to get to see their kids running around on the bouncy house that we rented and just, enjoying meals together was really awesome. And so I think that was a really great way for me to engage and meet with them. Another thing that I want to highlight that we do at the plant to make sure that we are hearing from our employees and getting them engaged in the process is we do a lot of problem solving events, and we don't just meet in a room, me and one of my managers, and say, all right, how are we going to fix this problem? We ask operators, mechanics, electricians, anyone from any department in our plant to come in and help us solve that problem together. And I think that really gets us working as a team and really feels like people are part of the solution and are making a difference at the plant.
That's a big deal, because you could just make a top-down decision and be like, this is how we're going to change it, but you don't really get the input of how it's going to impact every person's individual step of the process. But like bringing them in, it's just like, if we do this, is it just going to totally upend what you guys are doing over here and you have to change the operation? That's genius. It's smart. I mean, it's obviously that's why you guys have been around for 100 plus years at USG. But that's really cool, because that's not always an easy thing to do. It takes time, it takes energy, and time and energy are money when it comes down to it. So that's really kind of a cool thing. So let's talk about training, mentorship, growth opportunities. You kind of mentioned that a little bit, where you bring people in and you kind of talk to them like, this is the growth opportunity you have here. How about like externally, internally? Do you guys have any of that externally? You talked about the career fair at Fort Dodge Senior High, but somebody reached out to you on LinkedIn. Is that now your job, is to reach out to people on LinkedIn?
No, we don't have. So internally, I don't work all of the recruiting. I do help and have a small piece of the recruiting, but we have an external recruiter that actually helps with the recruiting for the plant. As far as like training coming in from outside, we do have, USG has a reimbursement program for tuition reimbursement.
Cool.
So it's really nice. You can get reimbursed up to 90% for, USG related jobs. So if you're going into like, an engineer type education, then we could reimburse you up to 90% for your.
That's huge.
That's
That's
wild. Because then somebody could come in, and stair step their way up, and then utilize you to help out with the.
Yep.
Because I mean, the education they're going to get is only going to benefit you and them in the long run, anyways. Yep. That's so smart. That's such a cool thing to do.
As well as, like Ashley prefaced earlier, we just started our electrical intern program. We hadn't done that in the past. This year was our first year. And I think it went really well. Joel came in and he was our electrical intern this past summer, and he really loved the culture of the environment. And so he decided to stay on part-time while he finishes his education. So
Excellent.
Nice that we can hopefully grow him into a full-time employee eventually.
Let's talk about other people then. So like if somebody else is listening to this, they're like, this actually sounds pretty neat. I might want to pursue a career in this, maybe in the manufacturing operations or in the management or HR, not that they're going to take your guys' job or anything. But like, what would you tell somebody that's like considering this? They're like, you know what, USG kind of sounds neat, and they reach out to you. What would you tell them?
So we post all of our jobs on usg.com/careers. And so if they're interested in applying for a job that we already have, I think that's the best place to go and look. We also post on Indeed as well. And I think if this is something that you're interested in, come and see us at one of the career fairs that we go to and ask us questions. We're always happy to talk about what we have going on at the plant. There are a lot of people in the community that work for us and have worked for us. And so they're great sources if you know someone that's worked here before. What else do you have?
I think the thing that I would also add is that there's a lot of obviously growth opportunities, right? So whether you're coming in as an operator or you're coming in as HR, let's say you get into that role and you see a different position that you think really interests you or whatever it might be, there's opportunities to move into that in the future. So, sometimes people will get in a certain role and they're like, this maybe isn't for me. Maybe I should try something different. So there's opportunities for other things within the organization as well.
That's really cool. Having the ability to move, vertically or laterally, I think that's something a lot of people undersell is the lateral movement is something that can really round you off and help with that vertical movement within companies. So to know that that's also available to people is really cool.
Yeah.
Ashley, you're still relatively new to this location, but maybe let's talk about USG as a whole. What's your favorite part about working at USG? What's something that you're there for and you're like, I really like this part of this company?
Honestly, I think my answer would be the same for both. The thing that got me in the door with USG was the people, and from day one, feeling like I was a part of a family and a community. And since I've come to Fort Dodge, the Fort Dodge plant, everyone's been so welcoming. I'm saying, I'm buying a house, and they're like, this house next to me is for sale. Come and check it out.
Well, what's really nice is they would want you as a neighbor,
right?
Even.
Right. I'm like, I feel so flattered. And then the people at the plant have just been so helpful and welcoming and inviting me into the Fort Dodge family. I've gotten to work at other plants. I've gotten to visit a lot of our other plants, and you see it across the board, but I think especially here it's unique. We have people at our plant that have their sons and daughters working and their parents. We have neighbors and friends, and I think whenever you have that, it just shows that the people that work here have so much pride in what they do enough to want to recommend it and say, hey, you should come apply and work here as well. And so it's something that I really love to see whenever I go to a plant. You can see that here.
That's big too, to have people recruiting, their friends, family, peers to work there as well. That's something that's very, very big and should not, again, be undersold, because I feel like a lot of people just go into a job and they're like, this is where I work, and that's just the end of it. But for people to love it enough to bring somebody else they know in is really kind of cool. Cassy, you've been there a little bit longer. What's your favorite part about being at USG?
I think my favorite part is, even though we do have plants across the U.S., we still feel like a smaller family. I've gotten to meet people at other plants. I've got to visit those other plants, and we really, if I have a question, I can reach out to them with no hesitation. I don't feel like I'm going to get judged or like I have to justify why I'm reaching out for a question. But the organization as a whole just feels so close, even though it is very large.
Do you guys have any interesting stories about when you've been there? Like something I feel like that would be a good one where you just I don't feel judged reaching out to somebody else, because I feel like that's something a lot of people feel, if they don't know everything, they feel like they have to know everything. And if they don't know it, they have to go figure it out on their own and they can't ask questions. But are there any interesting anecdotes or stories or things, maybe relating to that have happened at USG where you're like, this is why I'm here. Maybe it's dealing with a customer or dealing with somebody that worked there or dealing with another plant.
I think mine would be, I had just started and my boss was out, and then her boss was not available. She was in a meeting. And there was a gal that I had only met briefly on a call previously, and I just Teams messaged her and said, hey, do you have a few minutes to help me walk through this process? And she's like, absolutely, give me a call. So I gave her a call, and we spent probably 45 minutes just going over this process to make sure that I totally understood it. And again, it just plays into the fact that you can feel comfortable asking those questions and going to those people, even though you don't necessarily know them fully.
Yeah, it's not something that you're interacting with every day, but you know you can reach out to somebody. You're not scared of that vertical question asking.
Yep.
That's really cool. How about you?
Yeah. One of my favorite stories that I like to tell people whenever they ask why I like USG is whenever I got hired, I was actually doing an internship for another company. And so I didn't really have time on a Monday through Friday to step away and do an interview to do another internship. It's a little bit of a weird position to be in. And the hiring manager at the time after I applied was like, well, what does your weekend look like? And he said, oh, how about Saturday, 9 a.m.? I'll give you a call. And he called me and we're doing our interview, and you hear the office door open up and little giggles from his kids in the background. And it was just a moment that I was like, this guy took time out of his Saturday away from his kids and his family to interview me. And now he was the first manager that I had. He's a mentor to me. And now that I'm a plant manager and he's a plant manager, he's a peer as well. And I can call him, and I just messaged him today and I was like, hey, what do you do for this kind of scenario? And what should I do here? And he emailed me back and said, or messaged me back and said, oh, this is what we do here at the plant. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? And that's, been 8 years since I first was hired by him, and now we're here, and he's someone that I look up to and is a peer. So
that's super cool, because I mean that ties everything in together too. Basically what both of you have been saying, you have other places you can kind of lean on, and you can see what they're doing and just borrow what you want to borrow out of there, or the process. Well, let's add this to our process and see if it changes things. And it's somebody that was at one point in time, quote unquote, above you, but now you're peers, and there's still no hesitation to reach out to just be like, what do you guys got going on down there when it comes to this, and that's really, really cool. I do have another question here that you guys don't do tours, but there are people that come to the plants periodically. Yes. Let's say the school comes by. So if we have some kids from the school that are going to do a plant tour, what's one of the things where you're just like, I have to show them this?
To me, it's the mining process. We have the quarry here, and I've run a quarry before, but I'm still amazed by the way that mining works. There's bulldozers and haul trucks that are 2 to 3 times the height of me that are breaking up this rock, transporting it, moving it, and just the sheer size of this equipment is so... It's amazing. It's something that you don't normally get to see on a normal basis. And so I really like whenever we can get people out to the quarry to check it out and see what we do out there.
Dude, the machines are so huge. I know it sounds dumb, but the thing that always gets me is standing next to the tire, and you're just like, the tire on this thing is taller than me. This is insane.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
Cassie, how about you?
I don't know if I can pick one piece of the process, right? For me, it's just the neat part of seeing the beginning to the end, right? Like you start with this piece of rock, and then at the end you come out with this bucket of mud. And so like for me, it's the whole process that I want them to see, like the process as it goes on. So when I do tours, I always try my hardest to make sure that they start in the quarry, and then they go to our mill where they see the rock get crushed. And then they go to hydrocal where they can see the powder product. And then they go to ready mix where they can see the wet product. I think it's just a really cool process to see start from finish.
And not every manufacturing location has from beginning to end.
Yes.
Which is what you described on there, is from the very beginning, coming out of the ground, all the way to the finished product that is used on everybody's house.
Yeah. It's still not lost on me that they're like, there's a rock in the ground and now you can build houses out of it. Like, it's so cool to me that that's a thing, you know. You can go into like literally almost any building anywhere. It's just like, there's probably something in here that came possibly out of the ground in Fort Dodge.
Wouldn't you just like to have a conversation with the gentleman that discovered this?
Yeah.
And what was it? Was it some moment where he just had a pile of dust and he put water on it and he went, oh, or, you know, what was it that?
It's so happenstance.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, we've got this dust because we cut this rock and I accidentally spilled water on it, and now it's glue, basically, you know, or whatever. Like, that's super cool. I wonder exactly what the process was.
I would be curious to find out if there's any details anywhere.
There's got to be a fun story about the process, because I think I remember, if I saw right, like when tea was invented, it was somebody was boiling water to cook food or something, and like leaves blew in it and they drank it and were like, this tastes good. And that's how tea was invented, whatever, 6,000 years ago or whatever. I wonder if it's that kind of a fun story where you're like,
just happened by accident.
Yeah. Is there anything that we didn't mention about USG on our travel through the little list of questions here that you might want to mention about USG? We can give you guys a second to kind of look over what we've got on there. But again, if you guys are looking for more information, go cruise through that last episode we did. It was earlier in the year, but if you don't want to scroll back that far, it was last week. I replayed it last week because I thought it'd be kind of fun to put them back to back, and you can kind of see 4 different people's perspective of the same company.
Well, and it is National Manufacturing Month as well, and Iowa is a huge manufacturing state out there, so it's something to celebrate as well, to get to know more about all the manufacturing companies in our state and what they're doing, and especially USG being right out here in Fort Dodge.
It's super cool.
Yeah.
I think that's a good tie-in to what I kind of wanted to just hit on one last time, was that, I think with it being Manufacturing Month and people are listening to this podcast to learn more about manufacturing, I think just the stigma that you have in your head is probably not true anymore, that the stigma that manufacturing is dusty, dirty, it's unsafe, it's really hazardous, just isn't the way that we do things anymore. And we're trying to continue those innovations to make it to where you're using your mind to do a job and not your back and your hands and your body to do the physical aspect of it. You're problem solving and you're operating the machinery that's doing the really tough and dirty work.
That's a genius too, because like I feel like so many of us think when we're manufacturing job or whatever it is, you think almost in black and white. It's like, well, that was 100 years ago they were doing it like this, and like things have changed, and it's really neat to know that you guys out there are changing with the times and incorporating technology into a process that, again, somebody might would have just overlooked, and it's really kind of nice you have the availability for people out there to educate themselves, to not only know how to do it, what I would say like the old school way, but also know how to utilize the technology to do things the new school way. So it's not like somebody's out there and they're like, I was one of those people that was elbows deep in dust all day long, 30, 40, 50 years ago, whatever it happens to be. And now they can like maybe be one of those people that is more technologically, advanced and being in on the process. So that's really cool. The education thing out there just really kind of makes me smile to know that you guys have that as an internal checks and balances there. So before we end this, I usually ask everyone the same question. And since this is a marketing podcast, we're a marketing company. Is there a time in your life where marketing has impacted you and you possibly didn't know it until afterwards? Maybe this could be, at the plant, or maybe this could be in your day-to-day life, or just anything, really.
So you kind of stole mine earlier, but for me, knowing that growing up, I'd help my dad out with projects, and he'd talk about sheetrock and sheetrock this and sheetrock that. And then I started working at USG, and I realized that that's not the actual term for it. It's wallboard or it's drywall, and that sheetrock is the Kleenex. It's the brand name of the product, and it's USG's brand name. To me, that was a kind of weird coincidence once I started working here, and I was like, oh, I make this thing, and it's the brand name version of it.
It's what everybody thinks about.
Yeah.
Or knows about is sheetrock and how it looks, and it's all USG.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that are like that. We just call the brand name because that is what is so known, even though there might be, Advil, or whatever happens. There's so many of those out there. It's really cool that was started here in Fort Dodge. It's super cool.
Yeah.
How about you? You've been thinking about it a little bit.
That's a hard one to follow. I guess for me, advertising, the biggest thing I can think of is I never realized how it affected me until I was pregnant and we saw a Coke commercial, and I looked over at my husband and I said, will you go get me a Diet Coke? He's like, you're ridiculous. You see an ad and you have to have it. And I'm like, well, not really, but yes.
Yes. It made me think, I've been thinking about that for quite a while, so I need to go and do that.
Yeah, I'm very guilty of that at lunchtime here, where it's just like, well, let's go get XYZ company because I saw it online, or I almost don't want to name them just so people don't run into me at lunch and see where I'm going. But at the same time, it's always just like we have this place in Fort Dodge. It's like, yeah, they have commercials, and guess what? That's probably where I'm at eating my food. So it happens quite a bit to me. Even if I work here and I feel like I'm a little bit immune to it, I still fall into the same thing that everybody else does.
We know the basics and the how it's done to make us do that, and we still fall for it.
Yeah, I feel like it's more or less letting somebody know that that's available. It's not necessarily about pestering somebody with a marketing idea. It's just like if I just know that that's a thing, then I'll give it a try. You never know. So being top of mind, that's a big deal. All right, Cheryl usually ends the episodes here, so let's kick it over to Cheryl.
Well, we have Buster the Bulldog, and Buster is our mascot here because we're bulldogs to get people digitally online and get noticed. And so, but he's also good luck. So we have you rub Buster's head, and it's getting shinier and shinier because we've got lots of people rubbing his head. So I'm going to turn it over to you because with you being brand new here in town, we want to wish you all the best luck.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
We think of Buster going forward.
I will.
Okay.
This is really awesome. I'm going to put all the links down below for USG. So be sure to check them out. Check them out online. Go listen to that old episode we did. It's the episode just before this. I did a replay of it. So go ahead and check that one out as well. Cassie and Ashley, I do want to say thank you guys for taking time out of your busy days to swing by the office here and record a podcast with us. This is fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Us.
Yes. Thank you so much.
This podcast is produced by Spin Market and Digital. Located in Fort Dodge, Iowa, Spin Market's highly skilled team can help you increase your market by updating your website, improving SEO, designing advertisements, and producing podcasts that will grab the attention of your market. Contact Spin Market today for all your digital marketing needs at digitalagent@spinmarket.com or call us at 515-302-8026. And to learn more, visit our website at www.spinmarket.com. That's digitalagent@spinmarket.com or 515-302-8026. Or visit our website at www.spinmarket.com.